Here we are on the front of our Venture Sporttrek 327 VIK. We're going to be doing a technical walkthrough on it like the technician would do on the date of delivery, go over the operation of our components, and give you a few tips and tricks along the way. If you have this unit and it varies in brands, we may have those options in our Helpful Hacks section of our YouTube channel for Great American RV. I suggest you find it there. You'll also find some of these components and a deeper dive into maintenance and diagnostics for those components if you have any problems. So we're going to start up here up front, and we have our 7-way plug. It's going to transfer all of our lights, our signals, all that stuff. It's also going to have a battery charge line that's going to pull off the alternator of the vehicle and help charge that battery while you're traveling down the road. You're also going to have your brake controller wire that feeds off of that brake controller of your truck to activate the brakes on your trailer whenever they're active on your vehicle. Now up here, speaking of brakes, we also have this silver lanyard right here with the loop. That loop needs to have a clip on it that clips onto your receiver hitch where your safety chains go, not on the safety chains, not on the hitch, ball hitch itself or anything that's connected to the trailer. It needs to be separate and on that receiver hitch. The reason being is if any of that other stuff fails, this pin is intended to pull out of that breakaway box and activate the brakes on our trailer, bring it to a stop. If we don't have a good 12-volt system on our unit, it's not going to work. So we need to make sure that we have a solid battery to rely on that safety system. We also need to make sure that pin is always inserted properly into that box so our brakes aren't active when we don't want them to be. Up here we also have our 12-volt power jack. That 12-volt power jack does have a red line that goes down. You're going to have an inline fuse on there. That inline fuse, in the event your jack is not working, may be blown, or there could be an issue with the jack itself. Check that fuse, see, or your 12-volt battery may be bad. Hook it up to power, see if your jack operates then. If you have no other resort, pull this rubber cap up right here. You'll have a crank handle. You put that crank handle in and you can manually operate that jack. Behind that we have our dual propane tanks. Those dual propane tanks function off of a dual propane regulator. That dual propane regulator has a selector switch on it. That selector switch is going to be able to identify whichever one you want to be primary and secondary by turning that lever to that tank. You're also going to have an indicator on there, red and green, red meaning empty, green meaning full, and that's going to tell you the status of that primary tank. Once that primary tank runs empty, it's going to automatically swap over to that secondary tank and start feeding whatever the source is that you're using. Your indicator is still going to say red because that primary tank is empty. If you swap that indicator over, you have enough gas in that secondary tank, it's going to let you know what that one is, and that will be your new primary. At that point, you can get your current secondary refilled. Behind that, we have our battery storage center where we can put our batteries, and we have that battery disconnect. That battery disconnect is used for when we are storing our unit unplugged or not using our unit and it's unplugged. We want to turn that battery disconnect off to make sure we're not pulling 12-volt power from the battery for anything that's in the camper if we're not using it. Now, however, if we are plugged into shore power, we're using the camper. Anytime it's plugged in, you want that battery disconnect on. That way it will charge that battery. Over here we do have access to our pass-through compartment right here, and down here at the bottom we have our manual stabilizer jack. This is a manual jack. You have to crank it down in order to stabilize your unit. Now this is meant to stabilize only. It does have a weight rating and it's well below what the weight of the camper is. It's not meant to level out your unit. If you want to level out your unit, you need to get the stacker blocks like we have at our store. Stack them up, put them under your tires as you're backing up to level your unit from left to right. Then you use your tongue jack in the front to level it from front to back. From there, we go ahead and lower these stab jacks down and stabilize our unit to help reduce movement inside. The best shape for that is that diamond shaped form for these jacks. If we go straight up and down with them, they are going to shift, bend, and break at the welds, and manufacturers don't cover that kind of damage, so make sure we're using those correctly. Up here we have our black tank flush. That black tank flush is going to be used to clean out our sewer system. We'll talk a little bit more about that whenever we get to our black tank system. Here we have our docking station. This is where we're going to hook up all our water fixtures and everything. We'll go over that right now. So here on our docking station, we can see this blue lever right here. This is going to coordinate with our diagram right here. If we want to fill our tank, which is that onboard water storage, and that we want to take with us, because in the event we are going somewhere that has no water hookup, we would want to go ahead and hook our water hose up to this, and then we can fill that tank. Now, if we do have water connection wherever we're at, we go ahead and turn it to city water, and then that water will go straight to our fixtures. This vent right below it is just a vent for that fresh tank. That way that air can escape out of there. We have a quick connect right here that will provide us with that blue coil hose we can hook up right here and have a spray port with hot and cold. And then we have our 2 coax connections right here for satellite and cable. On our docking station, we talked about that fresh tank. That's that onboard storage. Once we fill it, we can kick on our 12-volt water pump and supply water to our fixtures if we don't have water wherever we're going. We can notice this blue line right here with the valve on it. We can open that up and drain that fresh tank out. We want to do that so we don't have added extra weight. If we're not using the water, drain it out. We also don't want that water to become stagnant over time if we keep it in when we're not using it. Now let's talk about your sewage system. You have a black tank and a gray tank. Your black tank handle is going to be right here, sticking out of the frame. You have a gray tank handle there, sticking out of the frame. Now your gray tank is going to be all of your shower water and sink water. Everything that goes into that tank, just fairly clean water. Might have a little food debris, just soapy, dirty water like that. Now your black tank, however, that's everything from your toilet. We're talking sewage. Everything that goes down your toilet is going into your black tank. Now let's go over how we would dump those tanks. We have that sewer connection hooked up, the hose hooked up at our site. We can leave our gray tank open all the time as long as we have a connection to our site. If we don't, of course, we need to hold that in until we get to a dump station. But you can let that water run out the entire time during your trip, so you don't have to keep coming out here and emptying it, taking multiple showers and whatnot. Our black tank, however, that valve needs to stay closed until we are ready to dump and flush that system. Reason being is any solids, toilet paper, sewage, anything we put in there, if we don't leave water in that tank, that system is going to dry out and it is going to cause some major issues down the road. So leave that black tank valve closed until you're ready to dump. Let's go over the dump process for black. When we're ready to dump that sewage, we have our connection all hooked up, we pull that black lever and we go ahead and empty that system out. From that point, we hook a water hose up to our black tank flush over there. It has a jet port in the tank. Once we turn that on, it will go ahead and start spraying that tank all the way out to this fitting right here and do a pretty decent job at cleaning out your tank. Once you are satisfied, we turn off that black tank flush, disconnect it, we close our black tank valve. We go on the inside to our toilet and we hold that pedal down and we put several gallons of fresh, clean water in that tank. Then we go ahead and add chemicals in there while you're driving down the road. It's going to help clean that tank out. Water's going to slosh around, knock anything down on the walls of that tank. Now, if you want to go a step further and use some pro tips as far as flushing out that tank, you can. You will find that in our HAPS Helpful Hacks section under how to flush out your black tank. We'll give you a few extra tips in regards to how to do that a different way. Besides that, we want to make sure we use RV toilet paper only, and we want to make sure that we're only putting number 1 or number 2 and our chemicals in there as well. Nothing else. It will cause some clogging in your pumps. Like I said, the handles are located and sticking out of the frames right under the J-wrap right here. You're also going to see a red and blue line sticking out under that J-wrap as well. Those are your low point drains. We would use that when we are winterizing our unit. You want more information on that, you can see your owner's manual or find it in HAPS Helpful Hacks. All of our slide outs are going to be 12-volt controlled. There's going to be an electric motor in the underbelly. You can't see it. It's going to run those slide outs in and out. There is an override sticking out of the frame under that J-wrap on the opposite side to be able to override those systems in the event that that motor fails. You'll see a post sticking out. Post will have a little nut on it. You can go ahead and put a crank handle or an impact driver on there to be able to run that system in and out if it fails. On this slide out right here, we do have a vent. That vent is for over our stovetop. We want to ventilate while we're cooking. We can go ahead and open these 2 tabs and let it actually ventilate out. We want to close those 2 tabs on there when we store our unit. That way we don't have any insects, dirt divers, anything building a nest in there. Behind me we have our 50 amp power supply. It's a twist lock plug. Stick it in there, turn it to the right, lock it in, and there is a twist ring on there. We want to go ahead and tighten that up. That way the kids don't accidentally pull it out, trip over it, anything like that while they're out running and playing around. Once we've done that, at that point, then we plug in our shore power. We want to do it in that order so we don't have any arcing or anything on this plug. And we also want to make sure that our AC systems are off before we plug it in so we don't cause any surges to that compressor. Behind that, we have our gas-powered Suburban water heater right here. That's going to help keep your unit warm when in use. We'll go over the operation of that when we hit the inside. Here on the rear of our unit, we are pre-wired for that Furrion backup camera system. Power is already ran. Whenever you turn your running lights on, the power will be on for that backup camera. If you want to upgrade to that system, a couple screws, plug your camera in, real easy, and you can monitor what's behind you when you're backing up or traveling down the road. Our bumper right here has plastic caps on it. We can pull those caps off, store our sewer hose in there if we wish. We also have a receiver hitch back here at the bottom, not intended for towing trailers, just intended for a bike rack or extra buggy you want to stick on the back for extra storage. You'll notice there's no lights, no tow hook options, anything back there, so it's not intended to tow with. Also back here we have our tankless water heater system by Fogatti. We'll go over the operation of that when we go on the inside. And we also notice that we have a factory supplied ladder back here to gain access to our roof. This is important because we need to check the roof sealants every 60 to 90 days for any deterioration, peeling, cracking, anything that would allow water entry into our roofing system. We also need to check all of our sealants on the side, lights, windows, everything around our camper to ensure the same thing. No peeling, cracking, or deterioration on that sealant, because if we allow water entry into our unit, it is going to damage it, number one, and manufacturers aren't going to participate in any water damage if it's due to a lack of maintenance, meaning that we are not caring for our sealants and preventing water from getting in our camper. Every 60 to 90 days, it is customer priority maintenance to take care of that sealant. If we don't do that, it will cause damage. Manufacturers aren't going to participate. So please, please, please make sure you are maintaining your unit so it'll last for years to come. We also need to get up on our roof, wash it about once a year, maintain that rubber. And we also, after trips, need to check and make sure no low-lying tree limbs poked any holes in our rubber. Here on the passenger side of our unit, we have our pass-through bay. We do have an on-off switch in here that has some underglow under the unit, and we could turn that off on there. We also have our motion sense light in the inside for that pass-through storage, and we also have our Lippert tire link system. If we want to upgrade our system and purchase that monitor as well as the sensors for our tires, we can upgrade and monitor our tires there. The power and mounting module is already in that front storage bay. We're also going to find another one of our stabilizer jacks right here like we have on the other side. They will be in the front and rear on all four corners. On our unit, we do have two Colorado Carefree awnings on there, one on the slide, one here. These awnings are 12-volt powered. They are a single push button switch. You flip the switch on and you hit extend, let your finger off, and they will extend out all the way. If you need to stop it, you can just hit that extend button again. If you have a tree or something else in the area that might be causing a disruption, we can do that. We can also go ahead and flip that switch, turn that system back off, and then same thing to retract. Turn it on and hit retract, and they will roll in. 12-volt powered awning lights on there as well. These awnings are equipped with a wind sensor, so if the wind blows a little hard, these systems will wiggle a little bit and they're automatically going to roll in. Now, I'll tell you that's a great safety system, but if you have a bad windstorm, rainstorm, anything like that coming in, go ahead and be preventative and just roll them in. That way it doesn't get caught in an all of a sudden windstorm. They will take a couple seconds to roll in. So just because that wind sensor kicks in doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be in time. Got a bad storm coming, you're leaving your unit for an extended period, roll those awnings in to prevent yourself from an expensive insurance claim as well as any damage or safety for anybody that might be under it. All right, on the rear of our unit, we do have our outdoor kitchen. We have a 110 powered dorm fridge. That fridge right there, anytime we plug in our unit to shore power, the fridge is going to turn on, which means it's going to cool, it's going to freeze. And one thing we need to keep in mind is when we unplug that system or turn this fridge off, it's going to defrost. We need to make sure that when it defrosts, we get all the water, ice, everything out of there, wipe it down, help prevent mold and mildew in there, as well as prevent any water that can leak out of here and damage wood components around that fridge. Manufacturers aren't going to participate in that. Considered owner maintenance to defrost and clean that fridge properly. Also in our outdoor kitchen, we have our griddle and sink option. We go ahead and pull those blue tabs down right there. We can slide that all the way out until it locks in. For our sink, we have that quick connect option we can put on there. have hot water, cold water out here. Now for our drain on here though, we do have a plug down here at the bottom. We have to open up that plug, hook a water hose up, and run it over to your drainage system to be able to drain water for this sink. Now for our LP griddle right here, we do have this extended hose. This extended hose has a couple levers on it. In order to hook it up to our quick connect that we'll find on the bottom side of this grill, this valve will have to be closed like this. We hook it up and then open it up in order for gas to flow. We're also going to have another connection right under our J-wrap on that frame to be able to hook our male connection in, and that will feed off of our propane tanks in the front. If we want, when we are done, we can go ahead and hold these blue tabs down again, roll that outdoor kitchen in until it clicks and it locks in, ready for travel. Of course, we do have our outdoor TV out here set up for cable and antenna as well. Under our J-wrap under here, we do have that bolt sticking out of the frame. That is to be able to raise and lower our spare tire whenever we're ever needed. All right, our entry door is going to have friction controlled hinges on it, so you're going to notice a little resistance on that door. It's to help prevent that door from slamming from wind or anything like that. So take note of that, and we're also going to have our solid steps. Our solid steps are a great safety feature, make easier convenience of getting in and out of our unit. A couple things we need to remember is when we store it, we need to make sure we push it all the way into that frame, have it lock in with that blue tab. It's a good idea to have this entry door open all the way so that frame doesn't scrape up your screen or anything like that. Ready to go ahead and bring them down, we pull that blue lever and we drop them down. Now after we have leveled our unit out left to right, front to back, we need to also come over here and level out our steps before we start opening and closing that door. And in order to do that, we can push in these silver levers right here and adjust our legs up and down in order to get our steps level. This is important so our threshold sits flat in our door jamb. That way our door will open and close and seal properly, and it also prevents the frame of the door from hitting our steps as well and causing any damage there. As we walk in our entry, we'll notice on the side of our kitchen cabinet, that's where our control center is for our slide outs and everything. We'll notice up top, this is that carefree awning controls right here. Like I was saying earlier, they have an on off to be able to stop that control, anybody messing with it, as long as it's in that off position. To extend, just tap that button and it will begin to extend. To retract, tap that button, it will begin to retract. If you need to stop it while it's extending to prevent it from hitting something, just hit that extend one more time and it will stop. Down here we have our control center for all of our other stuff. We have our tank heaters, that's to go ahead and prevent our tanks from freezing in cold temperatures. We have that water pump for that onboard storage tank that we talked about outside. That is that onboard storage that we fill, and it can pull from that tank in order to supply to our water fixtures on the interior in the event we don't have city water. If we do have city water, we want to leave that water pump off. It is an on-demand water pump. If you don't have a faucet or water running in your unit and you hear that pump running, you want to go ahead and shut it off. Either your tank is empty or you might have a leak somewhere you don't know about. You don't want to burn that pump up. Now here we have our fresh tank and battery and our black and gray tank meter right here. We push these buttons, we'll see it light up there at the top. Now your unit, this is a generic panel. Your unit may not have multiple gray or black tanks on here, so just keep that in mind. It is generic. It's only going to work for whatever ones you have. Our awning lights, a little switch right there, kick those awning lights on, and our interior lights, we have that switch there. We have our slide outs in and out right here at the bottom. All of this stuff is all 12 volt powered. We'll find the fuses for most of this stuff in that 12 volt control center. We'll show you a little bit later on. Your unit is equipped with the Go Power solar control system, and you do have those solar panels on the roof. This is our solar power controller that helps you monitor how your solar system is operating during the event that you have that nice sunny weather to be able to charge your batteries. All right, in our bathroom, we do have our shower hot cold faucet in there along with the adjustable water head faucet. We do have the latch for our doors. We want to go ahead and put that on when we're in travel so it doesn't damage the doors. We do have our fan up top to be able to exhaust the air out while we're taking a shower. Suggested to do that to help reduce mold and mildew by getting that humidity out of here. On our wall here, we have our LevelMate Pro system. We'll go over the operation of that now. So we're going to walk you through how to operate this LevelMate Pro. We can see that our adjustments are right there in front of us. If we drop the front down, of course, we'll see the front drop, so on and so forth. But the objective is to continue to level this unit until we start to see that 0 come to life. We get a green, and then we are good to go. We can also set our hitch position. So once we are disconnected from our truck, we can see down here at the bottom, we can hit set, and that will set our hitch position right there. If we click yes, hitch position is set. So now after we have leveled our unit out, let's say we don't want to play that guessing game, right? So we bring our jacks up and we can control that front tongue jack. We hit recall here and it will adjust and let you know where that original hitch height was, and you can go up and down until you zero out there. Then you won't have to worry about trying to guess where that hitch height actually is. That wraps up everything on our LevelMate Pro. Next is our toilet. Our toilet, pretty self-explanatory. You got a pedal down there, you hit it to flush it, right? We only put number 1 and number 2 in there for sewage, and we're toilet paper, RV toilet paper, not just any toilet paper, RV toilet paper, and our chemicals in there to help deteriorate any of the debris that's in there, as well as our toilet paper. Now if we're doing number 1, we go ahead, hit that pedal, flush it down in our black tank, we're good to go. Doing number 2, solids, we want to barely push that pedal down right there and fill that bowl about half to 3/4 of the way, and then that is when we flush our solids. If we don't do that, our solids may get clogged up in the pipes, so let's make sure that we have enough water in our system to help flush that down into that tank. This is once again where you'll come to go ahead and flush down that fresh clean water after you've drained and flushed your black tank, and we'll also drop our chemicals in from right here as well. Over here we have that Fugatti water heater control system, as well as our GFCI, our main GFCI, which is where we would go for all those GFCI protected outlets. We'll go over the operation of those 2 items right now. Our water heater system right here is pretty cut and dry. Turn it off and on, hit that power button, change between Fahrenheit and Celsius, hit that button right there. And to change our set temperature, which is going to be the temperature of our water output, we can control that with our arrows right here. On demand system, we turn our hot water on and it will initiate, turn on the flame, and begin to heat that water. Our GFCI outlet right here is going to control all those outlets in wet locations in our kitchen, outside, anywhere where you see a label saying GFCI protected. In the event that these outlets are overloaded with too many skillets, coffee makers, or anything of that nature, this system will trip. And also if those outlets get wet, this system will trip too. So this is where basically it's like a breaker on here. You have 2 buttons, your reset button, your test button. If we hit that test button, it's going to initiate like that system is tripped, and it's going to kill all those outlets. In the event that happens and your system trips, we come over here, we hit that reset button, we'll see that green light pop back on, and you're good to go. If it immediately trips again, then we want to go remove some of those appliances we have on there, or make sure that none of those outlets are wet. In our hallway, we'll also notice down here at the bottom, this is our COLP detector. That COLP detector is 12 volt powered. We'll notice a little green light glowing on the bottom of it. It lets us know that it is powered up. It is wired into our battery system. We have a little test button on there. We need to test that about once a month or every time we go camping to make sure that chirper is working, so it can notify us of any cautious gases that are in our unit. We need to make sure that we're also checking the expiration date on it. It'll either be stamped on the front or on the back. These things do expire. You'll need to replace it whenever that time comes. Our smoke detectors in our unit are also powered by a 9 volt battery. We need to check and test those, make sure that battery power is operational at least once or twice a year. In our bedroom, not too much to go over. We will have storage under our bed under here. We do have that second AC system at Coleman Mach, along with our second thermostat. The only difference is that thermostat is going to only operate the AC, not heat. Not the only one that operates the heat is in our living room area. We'll also notice in here we have our TV backer along with our coax connections for antenna and satellite and cable. We have our 110 outlet right here and our pre-wire for our King Connect system if we want to upgrade that Wi-Fi system to be able to have Wi-Fi with us wherever we go. Now, a key thing about this coax connection right here is we're going to notice a little green light on there with a button right next to it. That is our antenna boost. When that green light is on, it is amplifying our antenna with 12-volt power to help pick up more air channels in the area when we scan for those channels. If we are searching for cable channels, we want that light to be off, so we just push that little button right there, that light turns off, and then we can scan for cable channels. Otherwise, that 12-volt boost will scramble those channels that we're trying to get from the campground. Down here we have our 110 breaker panel along with our 12-volt fuses. This is where we would go if we have any issues with those 110 appliances or the 12-volt components. We would check those breakers, check those fuses. We're also going to hear a little fan running behind there. That is our converter system. A converter is our 12-volt power battery charger. Basically, it changes 110 power to 12-volt power in order to keep our batteries charged when we are plugged in. So it's not uncommon to hear that little fan running back there to keep it cool. All right, in our kitchen area, we have our 12-volt powered Furrion refrigerator. If we open up the fridge portion, we'll see a dial right there. It has the off position, also cold to cooler, and then off grid. Cold to cooler, self-explanatory. You want it colder, you go to cooler. Our freezer, there's no dial up in there. Everything is down in here. The off position is going to shut everything off on here. The off grid position is going to keep this compressor in a low mode, right? So that is when we are off grid, we're working off solar power, battery power, anything like that. We're not plugged in. We're trying to reduce the amount of power we're using off the 12-volt battery. We would want it in that off grid mode. That's also going to assume that you're not going to go open and close this fridge a lot either, so that compressor is not going to work as hard to try to keep everything cool, because it's considering you're conserving that cool energy in there. So however you want to use that option, you can. Keep in mind these have no drain tubes on them, so just like our outdoor fridge, we have to make sure we defrost all this, wipe it all down, prevent mold and mildew in our fridge, as well as that water that we talked about. Make sure we get all that out so we don't damage any of our wood components around that fridge. Moving on, we have our 110 power microwave right here, as well as our vent fan. Talked about that hood vent on the outside. We have to open that up in order for this to actually ventilate out, close it when we're storing it. And then we have our 3-burner Furrion gas cooktop. We have the glass countertop. We can go ahead and add more counter space. We're ready to cook. We can go ahead and flip it up. It does need to be down and travel, otherwise this glass will fall down and break. We have our 3-burner stove. We go ahead and choose which burner we want to use. We turn that knob to the flame icon right there. We'll notice that knob does turn red. That indicates that gas is flowing at that time, and we go ahead and turn our igniter until it lights. Once it lights, we go ahead, cook, rock and roll, we're good to go. One thing you need to keep in mind about your propane system is that anytime you pull your unit out of storage, you have those propane tanks turned off during that period, that propane is going to dissipate out of the line and you're going to end up with air in your system. Real easy fix. You turn your propane on when you're ready to go camp. You come over here and you do exactly that. You turn and you light your stovetop. Once we've lit it, let it burn for about 60 seconds until we have a nice blue ring flame around there and we're good to go. Always suggest doing this before we operate any of our gas appliances like our tankless water heater or our furnace, because this helps prevent the option for those things to go into a fault if we've already burned the air out of that system, and this is the easiest place to do it. Now as for our oven, same thing, want to get the air out of that system before we move down to our oven, but it's going to still take a little bit of time for that oven to light for the first time. After you purge the air out of the system, it'll light a lot quicker, but of course once you turn off your propane tanks, you'll have to go through the whole phase again. Now in order to light that oven, you're going to be a little bit different here. You're going to turn that knob, you're going to turn it to that flame icon. You're going to have to hold that one down in order for the gas to come out of that pilot. From there, we go ahead and turn our knob, ignite it, and then we let it, once it lights, we let it sit for about 30 seconds. We're warming up that thermocouple, and then we can go ahead and turn to our desired temperature, and that burner tube will light up. If the burner tube didn't light the first time, turn it back to that flame icon, hold it down, relight that pilot, let it sit for another 30 seconds, and then turn it to that temperature. Our dinette booth can provide more sleeping options. We remove those 2 poles. That table will lay down on those bumpers, and we can add our cushions down in the middle. Our seats are manual kickback for the recliner, and we also have the massaging as well as our USB charging ports. For our entertainment, of course, we have our television. and our JBL soundbar right here that does have the Bluetooth Connect feature for your phone if you want. And you're going to have your 110 fireplace down here if you want electric heat instead of gas for this area. We'll go over the operation of that now. Here we have our fireplace. We have a sensor right up here in the top right. We have to aim that remote at to turn it on. We have our Celsius and Fahrenheit temperature we can change to. And right here, this little flame icon is going to change the dimness of our flame. If we want to change the lighting of our flame, we hit the light bulb on the screen down here at the bottom, and it'll give you some different options right there. If we want to operate our heater on a timer, once again, electric heater, it is going to be this button right here. It looks like a clock, and when we push it, we can see some times pop up: 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all the way up to 8, and then it will go to 0 hours, letting you know that that timer is off. If we want to change our temperature, we'll use one of these two buttons at the bottom, and we can see once again we have a temperature down there, and we will go ahead and raise it until it kicks on, or lower it, we want it to kick off, or we can keep going until it says on, and that heater will stay running all the time. We kick it up one more time, and it's going to say OF, meaning that that system is off. Before we go into the bunkhouse, we do have our Coleman Mach AC here in this living room area. This one will control the air conditioner in that living room area, not the one in our bedroom, but it will control the heat for the furnace for the entire unit. We'll go over the operation of that now. All right, this is our thermostat for our AC system. When we click that button once, it'll give us the option for mode. Our first mode is cool. We hit that button again, and then we can choose between high or low auto, or high and low all the time. So high and low all the time will keep that fan running constantly, even though that compressor is not on. Auto will shut that fan off whenever our compressor is turned off. Once we go ahead and initiate those two items, our AC will kick on, and we can choose our desired temperature by turning that knob right there. And the larger number on that screen is going to be our room temperature. So here we're set at 63, and our actual temperature is 83. Cool on is going to show you that that system is initiating, and that system will kick on. Our next option on there, if we hit that button twice again, is heat. When we go ahead and click it right there, it will bring on the heat, show our room temperature as well as our set to temperature. Our heat is only going to come out of the lower areas. It's not going to come out of that rooftop AC. If you have air blowing out of that rooftop area, then we want to make sure that we don't have the fan on high or low on that cool option. So we would go back to our cool, and we would check right here and make sure it's on auto. Our last option on here is cool and heat. In this case, we can go ahead and do the same thing, choose our fan options, just have a set temp in between the furnace and the AC. It will keep that temperature set at that 72-degree mark. Now, in order to turn that system completely off, click it twice again, and we can go to off. This is our ceiling assembly for that Coleman Mach AC for the living room area. Once again, you're going to have another one in the bedroom, and it's going to work the same way. We turn these black knobs right here, and we can drop that filter out. Just like your filter at your home, it needs to be changed out or cleaned every now and again, so we're not restricting airflow to that top AC unit, and it'll run efficiently. All of your air for your air conditioner, cool air, is going to come out of these ceiling ducts right here. Any hot air for your furnace is going to come out of the vents in the floor down here. Not much to go over in our bunkhouse area. We do have another backer for our TV over there. We do have a lift option for our bunk. We can go ahead and put our pins right there on the side to be able to lift that up and give us headroom for our recliner area. It is suggested to go ahead and drop that down during travel. That way the weight bouncing around doesn't rip anything down. This can fold down into a bed as well if you want to add more sleeping options. And we do have a post right here. We can go ahead and add a table for more dining area as well.
Well, we hope you found that resourceful, but wait, there's more information on our Great American RV YouTube channel. This channel right here, find the playlist Hap's Helpful Hacks. We go over different products in this unit, and we'll take a deeper dive with more diagnostics, more information, as well as helpful tips when you're out camping. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, like, share, subscribe, do all those awesome things on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you found us, and keep watching here at Great American RV Superstores, where we bring the how-to you.